Welcome to the Landmark Theater's Q&A podcast. In this podcast, you will hear discussion with writer-director Leslye Headland and stars Alison, Brie, and Jason Sudeikis from the film Sleeping with Other People. Moderated by Landmark Theater's Dan Gorski. Recorded at the Landmark West LA.
I love a wired mic.
Really high tech here.
So many people here.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for
everybody.
coming.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Very nice of you.
It's really,
You sat so close.
you guys sat really close and you guys sat farther back and this is so awesome.
That's the story of this theater.
We're all part of it. So just start by talking a little bit about what was the spark of the idea that started this movie? How did it get started in your mind, and how did it become what it is?
I fell in love with my best friend.
Ooh.
And I was
The audience went, ooh.
And I thought, oh God, this would make such a good movie.
Did you think that while you were having the experience
Yeah.
or only after?
No, I definitely, while it was happening, was like, this is awesome. Like, this is going to end horribly, but like, it's like, this is going to make a great movie someday.
That's what great art is about.
That's what I think it's about. Yeah, but we were, my friend Michael and I, we were just really, really good friends. And we would go out and do things together all the time. And we both were depressed in exactly the same way and didn't want to leave the house. And we got each other to leave the house, and then he was completely sexually dysfunctional and I was completely sexually dysfunctional and I was hung up on a guy I didn't know and he was doing what he was doing and we just like helped each other. And one of our favorite things to do was make fun of couples. Like we would sit around and at brunch or we'd be outside a bar smoking and we'd see people making out or people walking down the street and we go like, look at these assholes, taking the relation out for a walk, giving the relationship some sun, And it did occur to me, like I had that little flash of like, people think we're a couple. Like I know that seems so simple, but it did not occur to me. And I thought that would make a really great movie. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. So
yeah.
it's just a testament to any, budding writers in the audience that the worst pain you've ever been in your life could make a great romantic comedy someday.
Excellent. And so this is kind of a rom-com, sort of.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, do you have a love of that genre, or did that just happen to be what came out?
No, not at all. Not at all. I love film in general. So, I sort of love any genre, and I just, when it started to dawn on me that the film was a romantic comedy, I started to throw myself a little bit more into, oh, okay, I guess this is, I always just sort of start out by asking my characters, like, what, I love my characters so much, like, I'm just like, what movie do you guys want to be in? How are you feeling today? Like, do you want to be in a romantic comedy? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. I'll go watch some romantic comedies, I guess, and try to figure out how those work.
So Alison, talk a little bit about playing this part, because I feel like there was a lot of range for this character, and you had to get the tone right to get the comedy right, but also the drama. And I think that I'm wondering, were there scenes that you tried it different ways and kind of played with the tone a little bit?
Tried every scene the same way. That's the Alison Brie way. No, sorry, that's a great question. I was thinking, what you're saying about tone, I was just actually thinking about that when Leslye was talking about romantic comedies and what type of movie. Like, I love romantic comedies, and I feel like when they're done right, it really is a great showcase for actors to do so many things, and that is one of the things that drew me to this project immediately, that the script does shift in tone so much, and especially, for both characters that they're going through a lot. And for me, it was mostly about connecting emotionally with the character. The comedic scenes, the whole script is written so well, and the comedy really was easy, and especially when you're working with this guy and you're just
that guy
has a little certain way about him, And so it was really easy for those scenes. I mean, Lainey's just such an emotionally complex character. She's so fragile so much of the time that I think that's the headspace I was living in most of the time. That was like my base point, my jumping off point.
I really feel bad about
so
that.
Just a horrible experience for me. No.
Yeah, I was I was really putting poor Alison
heavy.
through
It was heavy. But in that way, so the dramatic scenes were like very thought out in that way and coming from that place. And then it was important to me to sort of still come from that place while being in the comedic scenes. And I also think what's great about the characters that Leslye writes and why they're realistic is that, like, just because you're in a horrible situation with a person or you're in a relationship that's making you feel horrible doesn't mean that you don't laugh sometimes during the day and have a fun moment. It doesn't mean you're morose all the time. I think that these characters are going through so much at the same time all the time. So it was fun to kind of layer all that stuff in.
I also thought you just had a great chemistry. Jason, can you talk a little bit about that? Was that just sort of automatic when you guys started working, or was it something that you kind of...
I mean, it was. I mean, it felt really automatic. We had never met before we did a chemistry read, they would call it. You know, like I knew I was doing it, and then we had like...
Had to test me out.
Yeah, we had a
Took her for a spin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was, we had like 4 or 5 people like. Gals come in, and I can't remember what number you were, but it was kind of, it happened even before.
Like 36 or
36,
37.
right, yeah,
I don't know.
remember.
Way at the bottom of the list.
Yeah,
like,
That doesn't mean anything.
It was amazing, though.
My schedule was busy, so I couldn't come in before
it was
that.
fine.
So.
We were eating lunch during the entire time. But it was before even we started doing the scenes, and then some of the scenes that we ended up reading were scenes that played almost identically to the way that they were filmed, which is neat. And yeah, I don't know. It's nothing you can really try to replicate. It's either there or it isn't. I think if anybody really knew how to make chemistry happen, then they would probably be more of a scientist than a dumb fucking actor like myself.
But it seemed like you guys were really having fun. And
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun job. I mean, you.
Oh yeah.
You start the day with a breakfast burrito.
Yeah, always with the breakfast
burrito. You get to wear makeup, they
Put on
lighting
makeup.
and makeup to correct the flaws from bad hygiene or just God's mistakes, as I call them. It's a terrific job. And then
you get to run in front of cars with like...
Yep, absolutely, with gals with like great gams.
Margarita.
Trucking in front of you.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Well, the dialogue was really sharp also. Did you guys were you guys allowed to do any kind of improv? Was there
They
any
were not allowed.
We're not allowed.
They're never allowed to do that.
Yeah, Obama.
Tight leash.
Obama, like, from on high, he was like, I need you guys to stick to the script. And
What were we gonna do?
this is a big deal.
I just feel like the more it sounds like they're speaking a script, the better.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want is for anyone to have like a suspension of disbelief or like, any sort of like, you don't want to relate to the character.
When you hear the characters
know what
talk,
I mean?
Leslye, you want to hear keystrokes.
Yeah, I want to hear click, 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 click. That would just be my dream, personally, would be just like a 2001 sort of like a cigarette.
And then more click, click.
Just click, click.
Ding!
Ding!
No, we definitely we didn't improvise so much as maybe had conversations, during rehearsal, during a script. Just when I came on board, we sat down for a few hours. I know you guys had your chats, and then when something is as clear and concise as a specific person's voice, like Leslie's, and then you have the luxury, which is rare in many instances with independent film, money-wise and time-wise, but what that all does is lower the amount of second-guessing going on, which is nice.
Yeah.
Then you just have a singular voice that we just try to harmonize with, and Leslie's completely open to modulating her.
Absolutely. I mean,
tone.
there's nothing worse than it sounding like I wrote it, in my opinion. If it's working, then great, but if it's not... I mean,
But those are the details of words, but the emotions and why we're doing what we're doing was all there.
And also,
None of that
Leslye
changed.
builds in moments in the script where we would be free. This is your moment to improv. Enjoy it.
While it lasts.
She'd call it recess.
But there were certain scenes, like the scene where we're coming up with the safe word was one that you had us improv during the chemistry read. And then it was very similar. So everything between avocado and Mousetrap was improv, and we got to have a lot of fun with me trying to think of words that were very non-sexual, and then Jason just making them as sexual as possible, which just comes
so
very
good.
easily to him.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was so good.
It's my if I was an X-Man.
Yeah.
That's your power.
I mean, I know we got Ant-Man out of the way. If it's like innuendo guy, let me try on that fucking suit, man. Don't give it to some push-up artist named Chris. God damn it! Let me give me a crack. Give me a swing at it.
But I also think that doing improv, again, if any other filmmakers out there, it's a great way to, sort of admit your powerlessness as an artist. Like what really actually feels really. I really enjoy seeing it happen, and also I think that. When you're making an independent film, it really isn't that, what's the word? The sort of fabled improv of like, we'll just let the 2 8 cameras we have roll, and then we'll cut it together in the edit. It's much more like I had to sit there and really remember everything they were improving. So that when we turned around, I could be like Malcolm Gladwell, like Manila envelope, noodle salad, I just had to remember everything that I thought might make it into the movie, and then come back and be like, remember when you did that? And you guys were like, what are you talking about? Because you guys were so in the moment. So it's like when your actors improv, you're also involved. Like it's not just like you're not just sitting back and going, well. It was fun.
They did it again.
It was fun while I was directing this movie, but now we'll take a break for a couple nights and we'll just we'll just see what happens. It's like like get in there, be involved in it, and all that great stuff. So.
Well, so this was produced with Adam McKay and Will Ferrell, and they have so many great comedies, and I wonder what it was like in that relationship with you, working with them. How much did they get involved?
I mean, not like the thing about Adam and Will that's so incredible as fairy godfathers is that they really trust me. Like they don't try to sort of impose their own ideas on what's going on. Like they're really great executive producers in the sense that they will give their opinion and they will tell me what they think and they will say it very honestly, but they certainly do not want to make it their thing. I was very surprised that Adam McKay, Will is just like the kindest, most wonderful human being that's ever walked the face of the earth.
Yeah,
like,
but Adam.
But Adam is a dick. Okay? I just want to be clear, he's a dick. And
Baboof.
the worst. And and you guys have worked with Will and and he's just like the sweetest, kindest human. And Adam, I was sort of like, I don't know if I was surprised that they bought Bachelorette and then of course, that they wanted to do this beat. But Adam is such a satirist. Like almost everything he does is all about, and that's what I really, I want to make people laugh about things that are horrible, so that you can sort of go, sort of feeling. And I think that Anchorman does that, and The Campaign obviously did it very well.
He was like that when at Second City. Like he was there in '95. I mean, he wrote this before. He was the one. He left to go work at SNL. And then he was the one that hired Tina Fey from Second City. Like a lot of people don't know that. And then she went there, and 2 years later was a head writer. But like he wrote, my favorite thing that he wrote at Second City was he was a fourth grade substitute teacher, but he was playing Noam Chomsky. So it's Noam Chomsky like teaching kids about the evils of the world and how big business is. It's all the same stuff that's threaded in Campaign and the other guys. Like he's been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah, and one of my favorite quotes is the Stanley Kubrick quote, which is that a satirist is somebody that's cynical enough to know what's wrong with human nature, but optimistic enough to make a joke about it. And I think that Adam, Adam does that with all of his comedies. I definitely endeavored to do that myself. And so we're even a better match than I sort of expected to be. Of course I was just happy to get a job, initially, but now we really have grown into family, people that I think really understand each other artistically.
And they also end up, I was going to mention Elbaum.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
I was going to say that this was the first movie that falls under the umbrella of Gloria Sanchez, the female-driven new side of the company, Gary Sanchez, and Jessica Elbaum is heading that up and was our producer.
Yeah, and the fact that they did the same thing, that with her, that they trust her the same way. They're just like, what, you believe in this project, you believe in Leslye, you believe in Alison and Jason.
Yeah, and she was very hands-on.
Yeah, and she's the one that, she's really sort of I was sort of her brain, I sort of came out of her head. Do you know what I mean? Like
That
Athena,
other way
Athena
that women
springing
have
from the
children.
head of Zeus. That's a Greek mythology reference. I'm not sure if you guys.
Yeah, read your Joseph Campbell, guys, before you come to these fucking Q&As,
All right.
okay? Read
'Cause
your
there's-
Joe Campbell.
There's fucking homework.
Yeah, all right.
So
There's a syllabus you will be given. We will email you individually. It's tailored to your reading level.
what you didn't realize when you came in here is that you signed up for that. Do you know what I mean?
You're all
Like,
getting 2 credit hours, by the way. Nice.
and your internships don't count.
No.
So
It's a big lie. But you're making $4 an hour while you're here. Highs and lows.
I think it's a good time to actually go to the audience and see what they know.
Nice and low.
Let's see what they've learned.
Yeah.
ahead and get some-
Yeah. What have you guys learned
some
today?
questions from the audience. Talking about making changes to the script that developed based on the improvs, was that what point of the process was that?
Well, it's sort of throughout the process. I mean, when you make an independent film and when you shoot a film in 25 days with 45 locations, like, you have people calling you and going, we're not going to get the swimming pool. Do you know what I mean? And so you're like, oh, when does that shoot? I don't even know when does that shoot? And they're like, 4 days from now. And you're like, what are my options? And they're like, we could do a ping pong table. And you're like, okay, all right, swimming pool, ping pong. Jason, do you know how to do ping pong? And you're,
Let's do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great. So we'll do a ping pong. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like anywhere in the process, you're gonna get thrown something. Sometimes you have just the
Weather will do it too. Like,
Right, yeah.
Me running around. That wasn't supposed to be rain. Mother Nature or Jesus had another idea.
If you're an American,
Also,
If you're
throughout
a scientist, Mother Nature.
throughout the rehearsal process, because we got there maybe a week before, and
Oh,
then we had
yeah,
a week of
yeah.
rehearsals to read through the scenes, talk about our relationships. You're hearing the way it sounds coming out of our mouths. We're sort of coming up with ideas then in small ways
And
that
also-
you can sort of add and go. In rehearsal, we talked about that, and that was great.
Yeah, and also you cut a lot too, because you realize once you've got the actors, you're like, they don't need to fucking say that. You know
And
what
on
I mean?
and
Like-
on set too, I feel like with certain scenes, we'd get there, we'd rehearse the scene. Leslie's so open and collaborative, and I think that is an amazing quality.
thank
And
you.
we
I prefer thin, but short.
Whoa. Write that one down. You two replicate that at the next Q&A. That was a fucking great joke. That was incredible.
set them up, you knock them down.
Girl, you and me forever. You
but
and me
there
forever.
were-
I'll be
some
Flavor
scenes
Flav
that-
over here going, you hear that?
Oh shit. The bottle scene is one that comes to mind. That when we were shooting that scene, I remember you
Yes.
kind of coming in and being like, "I want it looser. I want it looser. Why wouldn't you masturbate? What would you say?" Like, and so that was just in the moment. Certain things got tweaked, and we
Oh,
had
and
more
also,
fun. And
I
loved
wouldn't,
it.
and
Loved it.
also I wouldn't call cut. That's the other thing is that like, so Jason's like, like, and then he just keeps saying, and then you do this, and then you do that, and then they're still doing it. Like, and no one said stop doing it. You guys were like, I guess your butthole's over here, and you do this.
that butthole.
The
part
butthole
didn't
almost
make
made it in there.
My glass blowing mask. I had to do it like oh yeah. It's a good thing I brought my satchel with me. I had all my items.
A lesson for actors: always be prepared.
Yes. But it's one of the awesome things about just movies in general and the collaborative nature of them, and I believe in it so strongly that like you don't like as brilliant I truly think Leslye is, and as funny as she can write in a room by herself or a tower, wherever you do your thing. Like once you're there and you sort of see the people and the elements of like even the prop, like what bottle will it be? Here are 3 options versus a studio movie it would be 20 options and 50 emails about why those options are right and wrong and all that shit. But you got to justify the company card. I get it. And it's like it's like you then take every element either correct or otherwise and make it a virtue. And that's sort of like the improv mantra of yes and, saying yes to the fact, okay, it's a ping pong table now. I'm not going to be mad and stomp my feet and act like a jerk for 30 minutes because we don't have time. And also we're
we
never
love
going to get
ping pong.
We love ping pong now. It's ping pong. We love ping pong. Yeah, and that's like a really, you have to stay open to it. But again, it goes back to having that blueprint of a script and knowing less about the specifics and more about the emotion and the tracking of the actual arcs, and then the specifics of how that happened. It's like, well, that's just the difference between Santana and Eddie Van Halen, I guess. And I was born in 1975, so that's I don't know who shreds on the old guitar now. Jason Mraz, I guess you guys are. He's sort of your guys' virtuoso.
It's a John Mayer, Jason
It's a John Mayer,
Mraz
yeah.
contest.
So everybody take off your shoes and just rock out on the guitar for a little bit.
Okay, talk a little bit about your background in writing.
I am like a Charles Dickens character when it comes to like my life and coming up as a writer and breaking into Hollywood and stuff. It's like I had all of these different experiences that are sort of way too intense to get into here. But I started out. I studied directing at Tisch at NYU, but I studied theater, not film, which is really what sort of taught me how to work with actors, because they made us take acting classes and stuff. So I didn't come at directing, especially directing film, as like, I am here to make the film and everyone will do what I say, like, no offense to Germans, but and then
Those acting classes paid off, because that was
There you go.
spot on. It was like glorious bastard right there. That's what that was.
So it's like I know how like terrifying and crazy and weird acting is, you know what I mean? Like, so I got into it, and then when I graduated, I became an assistant at Miramax and the Weinstein Company, and was writing sort of all through that. Mostly writing because I didn't know how to do anything else. I was a horrible assistant. I worked for Harvey Weinstein, who taught me everything that I know about hustling and just being a all-around dick. And no, he's like my dad. It's all good. And and then I just fell ass backwards into a staff writing job on television. Really, quite literally, there was no reason I should have gotten that job. And then I met Jess Elbaum and Adam McKay when I was working with them on a pilot project that went nowhere. And
How did you skip over like the 20 plays you've written?
I've written 20 plays.
No, but I mean, how many?
I've written 7.
Yeah.
7 plays. I wrote 7 plays
After
in
The
my
Sins.
spare time.
Right.
This is so boring. But anyway, the thing that I wanted to get to was that, and I think this is very important for anybody that's an aspiring filmmaker, is that the way I got to direct my first film was not because I had any kind of background or any of that kind of stuff, but because Adam McKay turned to me at a party and said, "Do you think you'd be up for directing the movie?" And I said yes. And he was like, "Cool, I'm gonna go grab some calzones or whatever," and like, and just
Great
like,
party.
just like
Great
walked
party.
away, And I was like, I think he might have been drunk. Like, I don't know. I wasn't sure if he was gonna remember the next day. But like, especially ladies, like, just say yes. Don't worry about whether or not you can do it. Like, you'll figure it out on day one. You know what I mean? Which is what I did. So that was my point.
And one of your plays turned into a movie.
Bachelorette was
and
a
one
play.
of them turned into a TV show, right?
Assistants, which was about working for Harvey. And we did that at NBC. They didn't pick it up because they hate comedy. And,
Yeah.
no more comedies. No more comedies. We don't need them. We're good.
Birthday party on Molly.
Experience.
No, God, it's so boring. It's really nerdy. I saw this film by Richard LaGravenese called Living Out Loud when I was probably your age. You look 10. And there's a scene in it where Holly Hunter is on ecstasy. She starts dancing. Everybody starts dancing with her. And as I was trying to get to the high point of the movie and thinking to myself, if the bad guy in this movie is shame, then the good guy, like what's the scene that that would just totally encapsulate the absence of shame. And that for me is like when you're a little kid, and you haven't been sexualized by society, and you're fine with your body, and you're dancing, and you don't care, And I thought, like, the only time I've ever felt like that is when I'm on drugs. So I decided to do basically that scene, but instead of drag queens, it was little kids, and I was going to use the music from Leo Carax's Bad Blood, and it's like all these movie references thrown into one scene. And that's sort of how a lot of the scenes are. It's really boring. That's sort of how I come up with them, is I start matching movies together and trying to think, like, how can I make them different and cool?
Oh yeah, it was a great cast for the film.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the casting.
Casting the film, God. I mean, I wrote it for Jason. We met. We fell in love. We wrote a movie.
Which I didn't have to be there at all.
At all for.
Just
Allie, there's no bigger fan of Community than me, legitimately, mean, I want to just quote it right now. Like that's all I
Do it.
Like it's just like my happy place is just like quoting Community and like everyone and like listening to true crime podcasts and like just everybody leaves me alone, you know, like. So I loved Allie and I really wanted to work with her. Basically, it's everybody that I wanted to work with or like I knew personally. Like Jason Mantzoukas and Andrea Savage, who play the married couple in the film, and Adam Scott, I worked on my previous film with. These are all people I just knew. And Natasha Lyonne is one of my dearest friends. I mean, those scenes when she's giving advice, that's like all the advice that Natasha gave me while I was going through that stuff. Like it's like, you know, like it's just they were all people that were kind enough to basically there were people that fell in love with the script as much as I did, and they could see me, you know, begging them to do the movie, and they said yes, you know, like, but that's sort of what it was. And then a couple people like Amanda Peet I didn't know, but I ran into, like. I mean, you can attest to this. That, like, I just go up and start talking to you guys.
That's
like,
true.
I just saw her at a restaurant and was like, "Hi, I love you. You're amazing." I was like, "I'm doing this movie. Do you want to be in it?" And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, call your people." You know, like, and then I just leave. You know, I don't know. I think it's the Harvey thing that I think I'm living in 1945, and like, you know, like I come in, I'm like, "Hey, what's up, kiddo? I'm gonna put you in a movie, make you a star." You know. Jason's like, "I've been here for like 10, 20 years. It's fine." Like, you know, I'm doing like Horrible Bosses 7, and like it's all, you know, like I'm a very established star actually.
Sure.
But if you wanna come and do my little movie, you're totally welcome to.
Well, thank you so much for coming today, and
Thank you for
guys.
coming.
Thank you guys.
sure to
You
tell
guys
your
are
friends.
awesome. This was really fun. Spread the word.
Spread the
Spread
word.
the word.
Tweet it, tweet.
Tweet it.
Tweet it.
They shouldn't have given us microphones.